gentlemen, here we are with another exciting excerpt of the Scouser and the Scot.
So today we have got someone who I know for a few years now, a very well-established person in the music industry in the UK and also floating abroad as well. Chris Davis from Stone Broken. How the hell are you doing?
I'm great, mate. That was one hell of an introduction. I need to take you on tour with me so you can do it at every show.
You know the score, mate. I'll do that. I'll tune your guitars for you. That's not a problem, man.
No, it's great, man. Thank you.
No, it's cool, mate. Long time no speak, and like you say, I hope you're keeping well. However, we have got 10 questions for you today. We need to do a bit of digging about yourself, Stone Broken, everything. Are you ready?
I think so.
It looks less sure than he did before you started talking, to be fair.
Mate, I don't know what you mean. We go easy on them, mate. I'm telling you, it's fine. So, Chris, can you give us a bit of background into your early music life? What kind of music did you listen to growing up, and who was your music idols?
Well, music was kind of always on in my house growing up, even though no one in my family was ever musically inclined. No one plays an instrument or anything in my family, but my mom in particular was always a fan of music. She would always play, like, have bands on such as Level 42 and Madness and all them, and also Michael Jackson. I think looking back, Michael Jackson was probably my first music kind of hero. Just as a young kind of kid trying to do his dance moves, which obviously I failed at. But yeah, I remember there's always one song, I forgot what it was, but in the video of Michael Jackson is singing, and there's a fan where it blows his hair up. And as a kid, I used to watch it and then just go like that with my hair. And it was, but yeah, so it was, I think that was kind of my first musical hero. But yeah, and then kind of obviously growing up and listening to all types of chart stuff, what was ever on at the time. And then, learning to play guitar. I got more into kind of, guitar players and stuff like that. I think my first guitar hero was probably, Eddie Van Halen. I remember kind of back in the day, the internet, well, not the internet, I'm not that old, but YouTube was kind of in its infancy. So trying to find, the amount of kind of the library of videos just wasn't around back then. So it's kind of hard to find, new music and stuff like that. So, CD was still a thing back then. So my mom bought me this CD because she thought, well, he's learning to play guitar now. He's obviously into, the rock thing and all that. So she brought me, I think it was called air guitar. And on it was Eruption by Van Halen. And I remember, I was only, playing for like a few months. And then I heard that and I just thought, I just couldn't get my head around it. It was like, just trying to make sense of what this thing was, because I never heard the guitar played like that ever. And I just remember having it on repeat and just trying to work out what he was doing, and I just still couldn't fathom what he was doing. But yeah, as things progressed, I bought more Van Halen albums, and and got into friends that also listened to rock music, and we would swap albums and share stuff, and they would lend me stuff like Nirvana and Ozzy. And then listening to Ozzy, I remember hearing Zach for the first time and just thinking, man, I'm never again something there's such a different style that I've just never heard before. And I just remember it was just such an exciting time to be learning guitar at that point. So yeah, I guess they're my early influences.
I think you can't go wrong with either of them, two major influences on the guitar.
No. I mean, not to say that I can remotely play like them, but yeah, listening to them was just like, you were just influenced straight away. You just wanted to pick up the guitar after you heard it, and it was amazing.
Put it this way, I went and saw them Van Halen because I'm like a lot older than you. So I went and saw Van Halen. I think they were supporting Sabbath.
Yeah.
They played Glasgow Apollo. And I would be about 16, 17 at the time. And I'd never heard anything like that guitar playing, trust me. And that was it. It was only just come out over here.
Yeah.
And I remember me and two of my mates that were with me in the band with me were guitarists. And we just all stood there looking like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. I remember that's my one regret is I've never was able to see him live. You know, and I would have loved to see him play live, but I never got that chance. So all I have is videos and, you know, his recording music.
Yeah. Well, let's move on now to Stone Broken. Talk to us about how it started. You know, let's tell us a little bit about your journey and, you know, why you got together, if it's still the same members of the band, and, you know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, sure. So how it started was I was actually the last member to join. I think Rich done the music thing for a while, and I think he stopped. He had a break from it, and then I think he just kind of got really frustrated with what he was doing. I think he had the 9 to 5 and everything. I think he got frustrated, and I think he really wanted to get back into doing music again. So obviously he was Robin are together, so they started just, you know, jamming, and then I used to be in the band with Kieran, who obviously plays bass. You know, that fell apart, and Kieran went his own way, and he worked in a bar that was local to Rich and Robin, really. So I guess Rich and Robin got to the point where they thought, well, you know, we could do with a bass player, you know, to you know, to do you know, jam with and stuff like that. So I think Richard Robin's dad went into the bar that Kieran worked in at the time, got talking, and then found out he was a bass player. Instantly took his photo for some reason, I don't know, and sent it to Richard Robin, and then said, "Yeah, I found a guy that plays bass." So they got together. They started writing and jamming and stuff like that, and then I met Kieran again, and at a concert. And this I've not seen him since the band split up that we were in, and this was the first time I saw him. And we got talking as much as he can at a concert. And he said, "Oh, I'm starting. I found these guys. I think we're going to start a new band. Would you be interested?" And I was kind of at the point of my life where I was in many bands. You know, I'd done the whole auditioning thing and stuff like that, and nothing really seemed to take off. So I was really burnt out by doing that whole process again of trying to start a band and it not working, and, you know, arguments and stuff like that, and then it all just, you know, fizzling out. So I was kind of a bit reluctant to do it, but, you know, I'm a nice guy, so I thought, yeah, I said to him, I'll come and help you guys out, and then when you know, you can carry on looking, and then if you find a permanent member or someone that wants to do it permanently, then I'll step aside. And then you know, yeah, that's fair enough, that's cool. So we organised a time we could all meet up, and I went to their little lockup. They had a little lockup in Warsaw. We all met up, we jammed, we hung out, and it was great. And I just got like a different feeling that I've not really had with any other band. Like, I just thought, man, like, I think if we really, you know, worked at it, I think we could, you know, do something good with the 4 of us. And so I kind of, I didn't let on, but I was kind of thinking, I think I'm going to stay with these guys. So, you know, we jammed. Then afterwards, Kieran said, "Oh, how did you find it?" And I was like, "Yeah, great. We can meet up again." And you know, and I think he sensed that I wasn't going to kind of step away or anything. But yeah, unfortunately, the lockup they had at that time, it was actually seized. It turns out they were paying a guy that was subletting, but he wasn't paying the landlord. So the landlord, after a few months, was like, "Well, where's my money?" So we basically locked their door, put a sign on it saying, this lockup and its contents are now property of mine, unless you pay me this amount of money. And this is in Warsaw, so things are kind of, you know, can be dodgy around there, so you don't want to take any chances. So yeah, I Kieran kind of contacted me again and said we might have to put this on hold for a bit because our lockup has been seized. Yeah, they sorted that out. All, you know, they got all their stuff back and everything, and we decided as the four of us to hunt for a new place, the new lockup that we could, you know, rehearse in and meet up and stuff. So we found a place, and that was it. We just kind of jammed again. We got to know each other, and, you know, hung out and just wrote stuff, and that was it. We just carried on, and we're all original members. You know, it's all the same crew as it's always been.
So I'm guessing at the point when you realised you couldn't afford to pay the landlord, all your gear was inside. That's when somebody came up with the idea of calling the band Stony Broke, which then became Stone.
It's actually along them lines. We were because a lot of people ask us, how did you get the name? Like, does it mean like your heart is stone and someone broke it back in the day? We're like, well, not really. We were at the lockup, the four of us, and we were tallying everything up. So we said, oh, we need to have a demo, and we need to have this, we need to have that, we need to have this amount of gear, we need to probably invest in this. And then I think Robin made the comment of like, oh, we're just going to be stone broke after all this. And then we were hunting for a band name and we couldn't think of one. We were going with one that I think if we went with it, it would have just killed our career from the get-go because it was lame as hell. So
it wasn't the Jimmy Savile fan club, but
it wasn't that bad. I have to admit, it wasn't quite that bad, but, you know, it just wasn't cool. It wasn't a cool name. So we kind of paused as Robin said that. We just said, hold on, what if it's what? So she said, we said, what do you say? She said, oh, we're stone broken, but stone broken. Maybe that's what we can call ourselves, because if we ever do make it, and, you know, we become rich and whatever, we can always have our band name to remind us that where we started and how we were panicking in our lockup that we wouldn't be able to afford all this stuff that we needed. So we thought it'd be a cool thing.
It's a pretty cool story, though. It does. It just, you know what? That's nice. I like that. I like that one. So let's talk about your tracks, because obviously I've heard you. We've heard you on the radio. We've heard you on, like, you know, the records and stuff like that, and you replicate that live very well, very well. Like, you know what I mean? It's a wall of sound. I absolutely love it. Like, you know what I mean? So, how do you achieve it, and what do you do differently from, like, you know, to achieve that compared to, like, you know, your tones on your guitar? What are you actually using, which is, like, name drop if you want, like, you know what I mean, about gear and stuff like that. I'm not,
yeah. I mean, I think when we were in the early days, when we were writing and jamming and stuff, we all wanted, like, this band to be very kind of riff orientated and to be like you say, like, to have that wall of sound. I guess people call it the American sound.
Yeah.
Where it's that big sounding guitars, big riffs, and big, you know, drums, and that's what we always strived from the start. I guess with tones, with amps, me and Rich always kind of gravitated towards kind of like I guess American style amps, although that's probably not the right word because I had a German made amp. Kind of like, you know, Rich had a Mesa Boogie and I had an Engel. So it's kind of amps that have that heavy bass sound, that, you know, very crisp distortion. But I think, I mean, a good amount of it probably is tone, but I think it's the way we play as the four of us. You know, I think the trap that probably a lot of members in bands do is they only think about what they're doing. So a guitarist will think, well, I'm worrying about my tone and that's it. I don't care what anyone else is doing. Or the bass player will do the same. But I think we always kind of, if we come up with a riff or anything like that, we'll probably say, well, maybe on drums, if if this pattern could work, and then once Robin plays that the way she does, it instantly lifts the riff up and the section. So
what would you recommend though, Chris, to say someone who's starting off, who listens to your track and goes, I want to try and achieve that. What would you advise? Because I know it's like, you know what I mean. It's a learning curve for people.
Yeah.
To understand that, and it just doesn't come. It does come naturally.
Yeah.
But is there anything you could recommend?
I think just listen to the band, be in the pocket. I think you can make yourself instantly heavier if you're all tight. And a lot of people do say that. They say, "Oh, yeah, I'll come to your show," and I couldn't get over how tight you were. And I think that's what we do. We always kind of listen to each other. And like I say, we're not just in our own world of guitar world or bass world, or we're all, as a band, we're all thinking about what we're all playing on the instrument to make the band sound as big as it can. But I think if you're all locked in, if you're playing a riff and you've got that kick pattern, that kick and snare pattern underneath it, and the bass is just playing the right thing and to complement the riff, and everyone is just playing that right thing, I think that's where you get that wall of sound that kind of, it's not just a wall of sound, but it's very articulate as well. And I think that's basically what we strive for.
I think one of the things, Chris, is that we were talking to Mark from Twisted Illusion. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Ian, but he said something about, I think he said the tone of his guitar is much more, it's not the tone he would use if he was just playing by himself when he's with the band, because I think he goes like more trebly, because he realizes that in order to create the sound that they want to create, he listens to the other guitar and then makes his guitar sound so that they augment one another, and they're not competing, or they're not just doing the same thing. That's right, Ian, wasn't it? It was something like that.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying, like, think as a band rather than just you, because everyone can have their favorite tone on an amp. You can go to your amp and say, right, that's my tone, that's it. But it might not work within the context of the band. It might not complement the other guitar player. It might not sit well with the bass. So you like say, you really have to make compromises. Like you say, the tone that you probably would love to use might not sit well with the band, so you have to make adjustments. I guess like me and Rich in particular, being guitar players, we strive not to play the same thing. I think if Rich is playing, like, even if we're playing the same chord, if Rich is playing it in one position, I'll try and play it in another position just to give it that extra layer. But yeah, we always try and play different things and complement each other. And if Rich has a tone, and I'll try and find something that works with it, not kind of trying to compete with him.
It's clever that, because in reality, that's the truth. When I was in bands in the late 70s all the way through the 80s, when there was twin guitars, they tended to just, well, this is my sound. And, you could have two of them playing exactly the same. You couldn't tell the bloody difference. It was never thought about as in, can we do something differently that will actually fatten out the whole band sound? It just didn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, that if you think of, stepping away slightly from tone, but the way people play, if you think of an orchestra, like, you go to see an orchestra and it just sounds one of the hugest things ever. And that's because, like, every instrument is playing to its strengths and everyone is complementing each other. It's not just every instrument's playing the same thing and you've just got this, kind of cluster of sound. It's like, it sounds huge, but that's because everyone knows their strengths and knows where they sit. And if you transfer that over to a band, again, think about the parts that you play, and think about the tone. Like you say, you don't want to go really heavy distortion if the other guitar player's got really heavy distortion. It just turns into fizz. You kind of want to have that balance so you get that wide stereo sound, I guess.
Right, it's quite funny when I do my radio show, and I come across bands like yours that has that. So I don't know where I got it from, but I always describe it as a sonic landscape.
Yeah.
It's there's more to it than just riffs. It's a different. There's more depth to it, and I never understood why. I just thought maybe it's just them. That's their sound. But now that you talk about it and having thought back to what Matt said, it's quite clearly a different approach. So can you talk us through your personal rig? So guitars that you use, amps, whatever. And can you compare and contrast that? Is it contrived? Do you talk to Chris about it and sort of say, well, I'm doing this is my gear, you do that gear because this is trebly and this is bass? What do you augment one another that way? Is it that thought through?
In the early days, like when I say Rich bought his Messer, so I thought, I need something to kind of go with this. And it's difficult because as when you start a band, you're on a budget, and good amps aren't cheap. So I bought an Engel because I researched they were pretty good amps. But I bought it mainly because of budget, and I knew it was pretty decent. I didn't really think if it would sit right with Rich's Messer. But luckily, when we got them together and we sorted out tones and stuff like that, then it did. And we've kind of stepped away now from the whole conventional tube amp setup. We now both use Kempers, but within the Kempers, we do have profile set up that is pretty different. I think the profiles I use at the moment is the Mesa Boogie triple rec profile on some songs, and then on others I'll use a Diesel that we profiled in the studio when I was last in the studio. And Rich uses a Mesa again on some songs, and then other songs he'll use. I think he's just got a Soldano patch that he's just got. But yeah, we always try and make it work between us. I listen to Rich's Soldano patch sometimes. And think, God, that's such a great sound. I wish I got it first.
So what about guitars then, Chris? What guitars do you use?
So I use Fender, and that, again, I use it because of budget. I have a Fender Jim Root. I found one on eBay a long time ago before Stone Broken, for a steal for what it is actually worth. So I bought it, and turned out it was. I never tried one before. Never tried it out. Bought it on a blind purchase, and luckily it's served well, really.
Quality piece of kit, that, by the way.
Yeah.
I love his EMGs. His EMGs are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I was and it's just one of those things where I just got it and I thought, man, this sounds really killer. And I got within the band, like I said, I bought it before the band, and when we got together, and I started using it within the context of the band, it just kind of worked. So I have that as my main guitar, and then I have the Telecaster version as a backup. So yeah, I'm kind of in this in two minds, because I'm worried about coming away from it, because trying to find a guitar that's similar. But I know there's also kind of an underlying stigma with people that play other people's signature guitars within the industry. So I'm in two minds whether to stay with using the Fenders or come away and try
That's
some.
easy, Chris. You just need to get some guitar manufacturer to make one that's a Chris Davis one that sounds and looks exactly the same as the other one, and then you're playing your own one.
Dude, if it was that simple, I would in a heartbeat have my own guitar. I think it's the dream of any guitarist.
Yeah, but like everything, I'm not being funny. You are limited to what you can do, and I mean that. And it's like, if you pick up a Les Paul Gibson next week, people are going to go, "Oh, that's just like Slash. That's just like Zakk Wylde."
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's like Jimmy Page. And then
Yeah.
you go, okay, then what can I play?
Yeah.
And then you pick up a Paul Reed Smith. Next minute you're Tremonti.
Yeah.
So you can't win no matter what. It's like, just play what's yours, what's comfy, what you're into, and each guitar's got a certain feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Jim, when he was doing these signature guitars, he didn't plaster his name all over them, which is great. The only trace of it being a signature guitar is the fact that he's put a little signature on the headstock at the back. But I know a lot of people that when they release a signature model, it has their name on the 12th fret or whatever, or anywhere else, or on the body it's got designs on, and you just think,
Listen, mate, I can honestly tell you, if I was a guitarist and somebody made a guitar, I'd want my fucking picture on it.
And a lot of people do, and
So you've got your tour coming up in 2022.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're going out, I've got a couple of questions on this one because it's quite an interesting one. If you're playing indoors, do you have the same warm up as you are outdoors, and do you notice any difference?
I must admit, before a gig, I don't warm up that much with the guitar, just because we're still a small band and we don't have a lot of room. Sometimes, like backstage, that sometimes the dressing room can be small, especially if you've got all your crew in there as well, the band and the crew. And sometimes you can get like Piccadilly Circus in there when you're just trying to get a moment and everyone's walking in and out and grabbing food, and and I'm quite conscious when I warm up anyway, because I when I first pick up the guitar I suck pretty bad. So when I think someone's listening to me, I'm like, oh, okay. So I rarely kind of warm up with the guitar. I mean, if we ever get to the point where we have like tuning rooms or anything like that, or a designated room where we can and we go with our instrument, then that might change. But for the most part, if it's cold, we will just do some light exercises, like jumping on the spot or stuff like that. And then once we've got blood flowing, we'll just do some simple stretches and stuff, and then I'll probably get the guitar like 5 minutes before we go on stage, and then I'll just quickly do some hand stuff on, hand warm-ups on the guitar, and then we'll hit the stage. But yeah, it just varies on not so much indoors and outdoors, but how cold it is within the venue. Like we've done some shows. I remember our first tour with Glenn Hughes, and we played we played the Garage, and hands down that's one of the coldest gigs I've ever played. Like we was walking there with coats on, and I remember just like it was probably 15 minutes before we was due to go on. I said, I can't take this coat off. I just don't want to. You take it off and you're instantly cold, and you try and warm up, and it just seemed like no matter what you did, it was just you were just going to stay cold. But of course, when you get on stage and the lights on you, it's a different story.
Oh yeah, completely. But for people who are watching this, obviously you're going on a tour across the UK and stuff like that. How much time do you put in before that tour with the band, practicing to get it?
I guess with us, I think every band's different with what they do rehearsal wise. With us, we don't rehearse that much as a band. The only time we rehearse is if we've got a tour coming up, or if we've got a show or anything. Like we played Downloaded Steelhouse the past couple of months, and we got together and rehearsed for that. But we don't meet up weekly and just rehearse. We don't do that. We only rehearse if there's something coming up. So before a tour, we'll probably a couple of weeks or so before we'll get together as much as we can and rehearse the set musically, just in our lockup, just to make sure that everyone's playing the right things. With this next tour that we got coming up in January, we'll play a lot of new songs that'll be off our new album. So we'll have to get together quite a lot to figure out these songs and how to play them live. So we'll get together, work out musically what everyone's playing, and then what we'll do a pre-production. So we'll go to a venue. We will use the Asylum venue in Birmingham, and we'll spend a couple of days there, and we'll set everything up how it would be on stage. So we'll use a stage, we'll use a PA, we'll get our crew in, we'll get our sound guy in, and then we'll have a couple of days running through exactly what we'll be playing on the tour or on the stage or on the the festival or whatever we're playing. So that's basically how we prepare for tour. We'll spend a couple of weeks just working out music parts. I mean, if it's songs that we played before, we don't generally have that long of a time. We'll just do it in a couple of days, just make sure we're still playing the same thing, all the right things, and then again we'll have a couple of days in a venue doing actual pre-production, because I guess the most work is making sure that the show goes good goes without a hitch, and everyone knows what to do, and our sound guy is comfortable. So yeah, we'll before every tour we'll do a pre-production.
That's cool. I remember when I started in the industry, which was about 2018, and the first band I started working with, I was talking to them about who they'd like to support and everything, and the first band they said was you guys. And I said, well, why them? Because this was a bit educating me, because I'd come from sales and marketing outside of the industry.
Yeah.
And they said, well, this, that. And so I started digging. And the thing that came back about you was that you were so hard working. You'd worked really hard. You didn't achieve anything by expectation, but by working hard. So can you talk us through sort of the challenges, let's say pre-COVID, the challenges you come up against? Is there anything that you can share with us and share with young people or young bands that's watching this about the things, maybe some of the mistakes that were made, maybe some of your views on it, the things that worked well, that's got you to the level you're at?
I think it's like you say, always work hard, and always have that desire to better yourself. I think I've seen many bands that seem to reach a certain level, and then they'll kind of get comfortable, and then they'll slowly start to lose their momentum. And I think once you start losing that momentum, it's almost impossible to get it back. So I think, once if you get some steam, if you're a new band and people are really digging you and you're doing well, always kind of have that hunger and worth ethic to better yourself, and to push the envelope a little bit. Don't ever get comfortable, and always make sure that you never lose your momentum and keep going. So I think, like I say, once that goes, I think it's a bad news for any band.
What about when it comes to, you're still, the band are the same people that started, really. What about, have you ever got to that stage at some point where it's almost looked like one of the members of the band were ready to quit, or we're going through a hard time? What about that a gang mentality? Do you think that's important?
Oh yeah. I think like any band, a lot of people say it, but I think it is definitely true. Like it becomes another family. I sometimes see the band more than my own family. So it is an extended family. And yes, we have gone through rocky moments. I think all of us have, where we've, like you say, we've been close to quitting. We've reached the end of our tether. But I think you have to be very understanding of each other, have each other's back, support each other. I think if you have a solid foundation there between however many, in our case, the four of us, then everything else is easier. I think if there's cracks within the band, I think that it can only go bad. So I think definitely have each other's backs. Always talk. I'm horrendous for talking. I always bottle things up, and I understand that's not the best thing to do. So always talk. If there's something that's bothering you, just bring it up. Just talk it out, and that's kind of it really does help. So I think always kind of, like I say, be understanding of your bandmates.
So what's been your biggest frustrations as you came up through to get to the level you're at? What's the things that's driven you almost to distraction, or what about the industry do you think is bad and needs addressing?
We've gone through some rocky moments, probably some stuff that I probably can't talk about.
Yeah, don't get us into trouble.
Yeah. I think there's probably some people within the industry that I don't know if they have the best interest of a band in kind of in their mind. They probably want to exploit them or anything like that. So I think when it comes to industry wise, I think anything that, especially contracts, anything that you sign or anything like that, always get someone professional to help you. Whether it be a good manager, a good band manager, or you get an impartial, independent lawyer involved. But yeah, I think anything like that, just before you sign anything, always understand what you're signing.
Yeah, that's great. That is actually great advice, because the danger is so many bands just want it. They want to be this, they want to be that, and there's a lot of people living off bands' dreams and their money, and they can't actually deliver any of what they're saying they can. So the advice you're giving is spot on, and you've learned it through bitter experience, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, it's from stuff that we've gone through and talking to other people. As musicians, we can kind of bury our head in the sand sometimes. We don't really understand the industry, and we just want to make music, kind of thing. So I think kind of having your wits about you all the time and just having a level head, like you say, when someone offers you something, it might well be good, but always, like I say, have that level head, always double check, always know, like I say, with a contract, always know exactly what you're signing, what everything means, everything's set out in layman's terms. And if you're ever unsure, just walk away. It's not worth it if you have a bad feeling. Always listen to your gut. I think if you have that feeling in your gut that something isn't right, just walk away or reevaluate.
So when you have some downtime, i.e. your own time, and you want to do something, do you go to any gigs, festivals? Do you manage to pick it, go and see some unsigned bands?
Yeah, we obviously before pre-COVID, we went to as many as we could. I have a venue near me called the Station, which is it's still quite a small venue, but a lot of bands seem to play there, and a lot of unsigned bands will play there. And yeah.
Ian's played there not that long ago.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm playing in the Gravity Festival down there.
Oh, okay.
So if you're around there, give us a shout.
Yeah. Send me the details over, and then I'll come over. But,
yeah, definitely, man. That'd be nice.
Yeah, so like we as many as we get. If we're not busy, we'll try and get to as many as we can. So we played Rambling Man a couple of times, but we've also been as punters one year, which was cool. It was cool just to hang out and just see bands and just talk to people. Sometimes when you're playing a gig or playing at a festival, it's hard to fully relax, because you're always thinking, oh, we gotta play, or we gotta do an interview, or we gotta do this, we gotta do that. So it was good just to go and just not have any pressure and just kind of be punters, I guess. But yeah, we've been invited to a few festivals. I think we've been invited to Stone Dead it's in this month or next month. So if we're not busy, we'll definitely go. But yeah, I mean, we try and get to as many as we can. I mean, it's always good to see new artists or new bands, or even bands we played with and want to catch up and see what they're doing and stuff like that.
It is a close family. It's weird, isn't it? It's like the rock community. Everyone knows each other. Everyone sort of looks after each other. Everyone says hello to each other. It is a pretty cool little family that we have got, and we are quite lucky to have something like this, I think.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like you like if you see a band that you've not seen in how long, and you see them play or go to one of their gigs, and you think, oh, they're going to remember us, and it's like you've not been away. It's like obviously before COVID, you could have hooked, get out, and you know, catch up and stuff. So yeah, it's like you say, it's like a little kind of community, and you know, a little kind of family in some respect.
It's quite funny because that was something that when I'd gone out of music since 1990. So I only come back in 2018. I mean, I still went to gigs and listened to music, but I wasn't involved. And when I was in bands, there wasn't that camaraderie. It was everything was competition.
Yeah.
I don't think there was another local band up there that I liked. People, there's a few that I like personally, but I don't like the bands. And it's quite different now. And I don't know why, but I think in them days it was everybody seemed to be competing more.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays people don't seem to have that same belief. I think it's cooler now. It's a lot better. But in our day, it was fucking hell. We hated each other. we literally, yeah. Honestly, it was so competitive. It was almost like if you were friends with guys in a different band, there was something wrong with you. It was really funny. Certainly up where I came from. It might just have been a local air thing. I don't know, but
I mean, to be fair, like you do come across certain people that you think, God, you think this is a competition kind of thing, that kind of
we could probably sit here and name them all as well, and I can guess the ones you're going to say, but we won't go there.
But even like I'll watch like a lot of guitar videos on YouTube, and you see the comments. Like if some guy's doing something, they'll have like Ian will obviously know, like if you have like a rap or something, and you'll see comments saying, "Oh, that guy's cheating. He's got a guitar mute." And like, well, I've never seen a rule book how to play guitar or anything like that. You know, if it sounds good, you know, and you know, if it's just another tool. And I think at the end of the day,
to be honest, Chris, the haters are gonna hate.
Yeah,
it's like you can look at the Eddie Van Halen videos,
yeah,
the Slash videos, and someone will put. If you read the comments, they'll be amazing, and next week you'll just have one weirdo go, "It was all right. It was nothing special." Like, and you're like, do you want to get up and do that?
Well,
like,
listen, I can remember when I started singing with bands back in the day. I was only about 16, 17, and there was a guy who I knew who was my cousin's mate, and he was like mid-30s, and I was complaining about our guitarist having a fucking ego, which was funny coming from a singer. But anyway, this old mate, a mate of my cousin, said to me, he says, listen, John, how many guitarists does it take to change a light bulb? I went, one. He went, no, 100. One to do it and the other 99 to say, I can do it better than that.
That's about it, really.
You know. Right, so next question. You kind of, I'm going to bring it up because, again, we've asked different people and they've come up with different answers to this one. You actually referred to it slightly before about being careful what you sign and who you get in bed with, so to speak, business-wise. So I take it you are with management, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Right, so from your perspective as a band, what do you expect from management, and how do they augment what the band does to achieve what you're trying to achieve?
Basically, management just kind of take the reins a little bit, industry-wise. So they'll work on your behalf as kind of like a buffer between you and the industry. Now, the relationship you have with any management will differ from band to band and manager to manager. So some bands they like being kind of involved within the industry side and know all about what's going on. And some bands just don't want to know about any of that stuff. They just want to play and write music. So I guess a manager will kind of adjust accordingly. So if a band just says, well, you take the reins, we don't want any part of the industry things, then I guess a manager will make a lot of decisions but yeah, they just kind of take the pressure off the band, I guess, in like dealing with industry things and just oversee a lot of like projects. So our management will kind of deal with the record label that we're signed with, and organize tours, liaison with our booking agent when we're about to do a tour, or if we get offered a tour, and then they'll feed that back to us. So Yeah, but I mean, in our case as well, we have two guys in our management team that work together, and one of them, James, has a background in music production. I think he owned a studio back in the day. So when we do any recordings or anything like that, he will comment, and get really technical, because he has that background, and some managers won't, and they will just say, well, okay, yeah, that sounds good to me, or good, but James will say, oh, I think then the kick needs to be up about 1 dB, and you're like, behave, and then you put the kick up at 1 dB and you think, okay. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, bottom line is, in our experience, they do work as a buffer, and they do take the reins, and they kind of advise you, and they kind of steer you through the industry, because, as we said before, so a lot of bands kind of don't really understand the industry or contracts or anything like that. So if you get someone who is experienced in that sort of field, then it is, advising you, then it's kind of a good thing. Yeah.
I think, and you're right in what you're saying. I think the biggest problem is that for young bands that's watching this, not every manager is as good as they say they are. Not every booker's as good as they say they are. Not every promoter's as good as they say they are, and might not even be actually as good as they look like they are. So it's that the trick is actually doing your due diligence as to the management should ask you a lot of questions, but you should ask them a lot of questions at the initial stages of when you're going to, if you decide to work together, because there has to be a damn sight of trust there. The management have to believe that the band are going to do their part to deliver the dream, and the band needs to trust the management, that they're all on the same sort of page. Is that
your Oh yeah, definitely, because if one wins, the other wins. If the band becomes successful, then the management becomes successful. And it is a two-way street. Like you say, when the management sign with the band, they want to know that band is going to work hard, is going to really pull out all the stops to make their band work, and not be lazy or anything like that. And on the band's perspective, you want a management team that has experience within the industry, knows what to look out for. Like you say, I guess it's like with any job or any industry, you get good workers and you get people that know what they're doing, and then you get people that don't but claim they do. So yeah, it is important to kind of find the right person, with anything, like whether it's a band manager and booking agent and stuff like that. That it's finding them people that kind of know what they're doing.
I would even go as far as to say that, so let's say somebody likes your band and they think their band sounds similar, and they think, well, we want to be where Stone Broken is, that your management might not be a good fit for them. It might be personality wise or whatever. So that's the other thing I would point out, that you could get brilliant management for one band or a few bands, but they're not right for you because your temperament isn't suitable for them.
Oh yeah, well,
vice versa.
Like any relationship, it's
a marriage of kinds.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to complement each other. It's like you say, if one kind of setup works for one band, it doesn't mean it's going to work. The setup's going to work for you, or in your particular case. Even if you claim that you want to do everything that band does, it doesn't mean it's going to work out.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's kind of steer away. Some advice I will give to any new band that's starting up: just do your thing. Obviously, get inspiration from what other bands are doing, and if they're using certain producers or management and stuff. But always do your own research, and kind of always think, oh, is this right for our band? Rather than saying, well, they're doing that, they're using that person, we need to use that person, because like you say, it might not be right for your band in particular.
Yeah,
definitely. So obviously this last year and a half, nearly 2 years, has been an absolute, what we class as a shit show, where everyone's not allowed to do anything, everything's been crap. How's that affected your plans, and how did you guys cope with it? Because obviously I follow you on Facebook and know you personally as well. I've followed you a few times, like on different platforms, and I've seen it when you actually all got to meet up for the first time, which was quite cool. Like, it was like, you know what I mean? Geez, yeah, you don't think about these things, but how was it for you guys?
Um, it was like with anyone else, it was difficult. You know, we were in the middle of making our album, so it was in the studio, and then we broke for Christmas, and then we had plans to go back in the studio and finish up. But obviously, lockdown kind of obviously news that this disease was coming over, and we all thought, oh, this, you know, there's nothing's going to come from this. It's over there in the world. It doesn't matter. But you know, it caught up to us, and that scuppered our plans. Really, we had to go back to the drawing board, figure out, you know, what we had to do to finish the album. We needed to reschedule and try and, you know, figure out what the rules were. That can we meet up? Can't we meet up? How many people can we have in one room? You know, and all that was confusing. And we had to kind of come up with a new release strategy as well, for the album.
Oh yeah.
We all kind of went to the drawing board. It was kind of like panic stations in a certain respect, but you know, we just kind of had to deal with it the best we could. But yeah, we kept in constant contact with, you know, the four of us, and management. You know, so it wasn't like, you know, well, okay, we'll see you guys in 18 months or whenever this blows over. It was always in, you know, contact. And when rules eased, we finished the album as best as we could, and you know, we couldn't go back to a studio, so we had to do it in our own lockup, as socially distanced as we could. I did a lot of ideas here at home, which, you know, is weird. But yeah, it's tough. I think it's something that you just take for granted, like being able to meet up, being able to, you know, kind of stick to the original plan of what we had for this album, release wise, and then tour. When that's all taken away, it's just weird how you can't really get your head around it. So yeah, it was tough, but you know, we're kind of, hopefully we're coming out of it now. We've got this new plan now to release the album and the tour in January. I think, you know, some of our fans were frustrated because we haven't released anything new for quite a while, which, you know, is understandable. But I think what we didn't want to do is push this album out early, and then for it to kind of fizzle out, the hype to kind of diminish, and then try and tour it like, you know, nearly a year later or something. So, you know, we decided to put the album release on hold and then release it when we can, you know, tour with it, I guess.
It's cool. That was the conversations I was having with some of our bands, whether to release it, whether or not. And I think it depended where you were in the league tables. So if you were a band that was trying to actually get attention, it was a perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
Like last summer or last autumn was a perfect time, because you did the whole social media and a lot of people with nothing to do. Whereas a band like you, who's established, it wouldn't have been, because you do need to tour it. Apart from anything financially, you need to tour it.
Well, well, it costs a lot of money to produce an album. So if we did release it early and we can't tour it to recoup some of them costs, it's kind of like a dead album, because when you do get out and tour, people are like, well, I'm kind of bored of this album now. So you kind of need to make another album to tour with. So that previous album becomes, like, because I had kind of a dead album. So yeah, you, like say, a lot of money is spent on it. So you do want to kind of recoup some costs and try and make some money from the touring aspect.
So what's the medium and longer term sort of strategies and goals for Stone Broken?
So I guess medium terms is, you know, we need to get back out on the road, as with any band. You know, it's where our bread and butter is, and it's what we enjoy doing. So we need, hopefully this is all, you know, going to blow over and we can, you know, get back to normality in some respect. So, you know, we want to start off doing our headline tour in January, you know, hit the festivals hard. This is if everything's back to normal. Maybe get a big support run if we can get on like an arena support or something like that. That'd be awesome. And I guess long term is, we just want to carry on doing what we're doing and keep progressing, keep getting bigger and better as a band, and kind of being able to financially buy our Ferraris or whatever. But I guess just keep going, carry on. I think we're having a blast doing this, what we're doing now, and we don't want it to end. So if we can keep this going, then it'd be great.
Can't say fairer than that, mate.
Well, there you have it. 10 questions, Chris. You've escaped. But me being the Scouser, I've always got one more question in hand, mate. So if people want to check out Stone Broken, if people want to reach out to yourself, Chris, and check out what equipment you're using and stuff like that, how can we get in touch with you?
So we have a website, stonebroken.com. So if you head to there, there's all links to our band social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can check out videos on there. We've also, in the process, we also are starting up a TikTok account, a band TikTok. So you can find Stone Broken, if you search for Stone Broken on there, also on that. We also have personal Facebooks and Instagrams. If you search my name, Chris Davis, you'll probably have to shift through a lot of people because I have a really common name, supposedly. But yeah, we're on there. But I say if you go on stonebroken.com, all the links are pretty much on there for the band.
What I'll do for you, Chris, I'll put all the links down below. So guys, please click on the links below. Please check out Chris. Stone Broken, absolutely amazing band, great set of people. Like I say, I'm looking forward to catching you up in Manchester next year, mate.
So awesome.
it'd be good to have a cup of tea with you. And there's only one thing left to say. John, over to you, buddy.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we've enjoyed chatting to Chris, and would like to thank him for sparing the time to talk to us. It's been great. And until next time, you know what to do. Hit that cowbell, subscribe.